I'm going to tell you all about the hidden factions in Albion Online. Now, when I say hidden factions, I don't mean things like Bridgewatch and Martlock. I'm talking about actual community factions with real players and how they differ between each other. Let's get into it. Faction number 1 is the Everyday Gamer. Now, this is 80% of the player base. That's right, 80% of all players in Albion Online hardly ever touch the red or black zones, maybe once or twice, but they don't usually spend most of their time in these zones. Now, they mostly play with their friends, maybe in a small guild, or they make their own guild so they can take advantage of laborers and housing. They are very casual. They might play just a few hours a day, maybe a few days a week. There's some people that don't log in for 1 to 2 months at a time, and they'll log in, they'll play a little bit, and they'll log out and go play something else. These are the majority of the players. They don't participate on Reddit. They don't join the Discords. They don't do anything. They just log into the game because it's a free game. They check it out. They have a little bit of fun, and then they get bored and go do something else. Faction number 2 are the War Gamers. They only play Albion Online for the massive Zerg versus Zerg, 250 versus 250 fights, or whatever the number is. These guys only care about massive, big-numbered fights. They just want to feel like an insect in an anthill battle. This mostly is comprised of massive Zerg guilds with thousands of members. The black zone is the only thing that matters to these players. They don't care what happens in the red zone. They don't even play in the red or yellow or the blue zones at all. They only play in the black zones. The first thing they did as a new character is they immediately joined a guild and then bent the knee and served some rich guy in the game and made him even more rich and more powerful in exchange for being able to fight on the front lines in massive battles at a predetermined time every single day so that they could have their fun. They don't find the rest of the game fun at all. They only care about guild stuff, guild drama, guild happenings, guilds being defeated, guilds quitting. They don't care about anything else going on in the game or the economy. And the people that run these guilds are all in high society. They all share a same Discord. They're all just chilling and talking smack to each other like they're businessmen. They don't actually have a grudge against each other, like when one guild takes over another guild's territory. They think of it like a chess match. It's not like life or death. It's just like, haha, good sir, I have defeated your clan with my own army. My army is superior, and now I laid claim to the land. This is real. This is how they interact with each other. It's no hard feelings. It's simply, other players are just chess pieces to them. They're just cogs in a machine to them. They're playing a whole different game than you and me. Next up, we have the Cartel. Everyone in the game has heard about these guys. They are a massive secret society of the most rich and wealthy players in Albion Online. I am not included in that, unfortunately, as I am not anywhere near close to being wealthy enough to be in these guys' group. They only care about the market and the economy. They own almost all of the shop stalls, sometimes every shop stall, depending on the town and the month. They also just spend most of their money making more money or making it so that other players will make less money so that their money is worth more. This is called market PvP. This is also their real-life job because they use the in-game money to fund their real life, unfortunately, which is against the game rules, but it's their job. I don't know how exactly they do it. I mean, I have a good idea, but essentially, it's not something you should do. Next up, we have the Influencers. Now, I want to mention that I am not part of this faction, so let's talk about them, okay? They have special in-game avatars that are like a yellow badge showing that they are an official content creator for the game. This is actually their in-real-life job. They do get paid through ad revenue, donations, possibly by SBI, as several of these influencers are actually employees of the company, masquerading as typical gamers like you and me, but really they are on the payroll, and they are being paid a salary from Sandbox Interactive. They give giveaway codes to the fans, which they get from the company. I do not get giveaway codes because I'm a bad boy. I'm on the naughty list, okay? They're a massive clique, and the way their clique works is they all talk amongst each other in a private little Discord, and they all work with each other doing collabs and little get-togethers in their streams and their videos. And the way it works is if you're on the bad boy list, aka me, if you're not liked by Reddit, if you've got some sort of interesting past that could cost them a sponsorship or possibly, add buckaroonies, then they don't include you. As a matter of fact, whatever the popular opinion is how they operate. For instance, there was one guy I knew for at least 2 years who was friendly with me, and I started hanging out in his Twitch chat a bunch, and eventually his other friends that are part of this clique are like, hey, we can't have that soul binging guy in your chat, he's making you look bad. And, they got rid of me. So, basically, it's like when you're kind of a weird kid in the high school, and then someone that that's your friend is starting to get popular because they're either, they joined a sports team, or they're friends with all the jocks and the prep kids, and then the prep kids, enter him into the circle, and so you're happy for your friend because, he's starting to make something of himself, and he's starting to grow and make more friends, and then he turns around and spits in your face and says he never wants to talk to you again. That's what this clique is. At least to me. As a viewer, you're probably just consume their content or whatever, and that's fine. But essentially, they're just a massive little clique, their own little circle. And if you're not, completely obedient to Sandbox Interactive, then you're not allowed in. All right. They also push narratives. Oh, hey, here's the new patch. Hey, here's the Asia server. Buy the Founders Packs, guys. Buy the Founders Packs. Okay, now, most of these creators, streamers, would not survive outside of Albion. Albion is in a weird content creation bubble, which would be a whole separate video. But essentially, the reason that bigger YouTubers and more corporate YouTubers don't touch this game is that full loot PvP games bring about the most dangerous and worst of people. I'm talking people that go after your in-real-life livelihood over something you did in-game. I had a guy that's still out to get me to this day because I dissuade people away from using Great Axe for PvE purposes and instead, crossbows. Because back in the day, everyone ran solo dungeons. They were great content. And I learned that Great Axe is not the best for dungeons. So I made some videos, and this pissed this guy off so much that he's still after me 3 years later. It's nuts. Alright, also, these creators, these streamers, are not exactly free to make the content that they actually want to do in fear of punishment, being kicked out of the clique, getting removed from the good boy list, and getting all their free codes taken away. Oh, and by the way, these guys get free premium basically for life from the company as well. So that's pretty silly. Look at me, I don't have premium right now. I'm not paying this price. Nah. I don't play enough to justify that price, and I don't think the rewards I get are justifying that price either. But a lot of these guys, they're just following orders. They signed a little contract, a little NDA, a little legal thingamajig that gives them, the real-life name and all that. And technically, SBI has your real-life name due to your billing info if you've ever paid real money for premium. But the point is that this is just a faction that many people just aren't aware of or how it works. But it's a lot of shady stuff. Next up is the Red Zone Gankers. Now, when I thought about Red Zone Gankers, I thought it was just a group of people who killed anything that moves and just attack everybody, took their stuff, and so on. And man, was I so wrong about that, okay? The Red Zone Gankers are more like a mafia, if you can believe that. They are very, extremely organized. They have spreadsheets and schedules, and it's not quite like they're clocking in and out for work. It's just a bunch of dudes that get together and decide they want to make some money that day. But it's very organized. They're very big into politics and guild dramas and all that stuff. They know who's doing what, who to attack and who not to attack, and they have their own reasons, their pasts, they have an entire different separate story from everyone else in Albion Online. There is a massive code of honor amongst the gankers. They work well together, even if they're not in the same ganking faction. So think of it as like different mafias, instead of waging a turf war, like gangs or something. They work together because they have the same goal. They are not each other's enemies. And whenever one mafia is, hustling a business on the street corner, they don't step in and try to mess with that. They let the other mafias do their thing and they move on to a different zone. Okay, almost the entire player base hates the Red Zone Gankers for some reason. Because obviously it makes traveling through red zones dangerous, and you lose loot if you're transporting, which people tend to hate, but I find it highly humorous. They are very methodical in how they gank and who they gank. There is an entire scientific process behind it. It's pretty damn impressive, and I would love to make more YouTube videos on this specific faction. Even join them if possible. These guys profit 4 to 5 million or more per hour, even during the slow times, even during the off hours where there's not a lot of players online. These guys are responsible for the losses of over 35 billion silver. It is a that's a lot of silver. And finally, we have the Sadistic Griefer faction. They are free from the oppression of guilds, obligations, and duty. They log in and out at their own will, not having to serve or work for anyone else or make anyone else richer. They almost entirely play solo because it's very hard for them to find like-minded individuals to play with who are on the same wavelength and societal standard. They pretty much only play the game to feed off of other players' suffering, either through ganking them in the red or black zone, taking their loot, or causing more suffering by making them kneel down in a yellow zone for 3 minutes at a time. They are hated by all of the other factions, especially the influencer faction, because they are known for stream sniping. They only exist to upset other players in any way possible. That is the only joy they get out of a game like Albion Online. They are almost always permanently muted or turned into googly moogly, which means they had their name forcefully changed. They are kicked from all Discords, banned from all Twitch stream chats, social medias, etc. They expose way too much truth, which allows new players insane advantages that they shouldn't be having, which means a lot of these guilds aren't able to take advantage of them, and thus the guilds are weakened. Their entire community of Albion Online cannot scare this type of player away, can't make them go away, can't make them quit the game. No matter what they do, it just seems to feed them and make them more strong and more passionate. And of course, this faction goes by the name of Swole Benji. So there you have it. That's the hidden factions of Albion Online. I didn't talk about the HCE community because it's pretty much dead, and screw those guys. But other than that, there's really not much else. With that said, if you want to join faction number 60, there's a Discord link in the description. It's only available to low-income gamers, so there you go. With that said, click the video on the right side of your screen. Click that join button down in the bottom left under this video. $5 a month gets you access to better guides, better videos that are just too good for the public. And yeah, there you go. So, see you in the next video. Take care. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.